Well, joining us now is Steve. Steve is the Group Marketing Manager for New Zealand Movers. Steve, great having you here. Steve, you really come in at the end of our job, I guess. We've sold the house and the champagne's been drunk, and then it comes to the reality of now we need to move. So Steve, with your great experience, what should people be thinking about with regards to choosing a mover? What are the important points there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Wayne. There's several things that they need to consider when selecting a moving company. First and foremost is how long have they been in business. So you really need to be dealing with somebody that has got experience in moving, that their packers and their drivers are all very experienced.
Yep.
You know, it's people's personal effects and it's precious items.
Well, it's everything, isn't it? You're
Yes.
handing over your whole house, you know. It's not behind locked doors. You're handing everything over
Yes.
to this company.
That's right, and so it is important. You know, things for argument's sake, like how modern is their fleet, how
Yep.
up to date, and so because that can have an effect on the efficiencies and transit times, etc. Other things to consider are their storage facilities.
Okay, so that makes sense because it's lovely if the move goes from A to B in one hit, but I guess you would see a lot of instances where it's in transit or it's held for a period of time, or maybe even just put into storage.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right, and that applies whether somebody's moving just around Auckland or
Yep.
moving around the country,
Yep.
or actually moving internationally. So, you know, it's really important, I think, for people to be aware of where their goods are going to be stored. Is it secure? Are they modern facilities? And of course, that leads on to the issue of insurance, etc. as well.
Now that's going to be a big aspect, isn't it? So thoughts on insurance, what would you say to somebody now about insurance and what they should be considering with that?
Yeah, I think insurance, it is a very important consideration, and a lot of companies don't like to talk about it because it's obviously the negative side of it that something might go wrong.
Yeah.
But obviously, it needs to be in place.
Yep.
And for argument's sake, we're with Vero Marine.
Okay.
And they're a division.
Well-known name.
Yeah,
Yep.
Vero New Zealand Limited. It's a very robust policy that we have in place for people so that they can actually have the peace of mind that their goods are going to be covered in the event of an issue.
So choose somebody who is reliable, the team is experienced, they know what they're doing, the fleet is going to get from A to B, in one piece.
Yes.
They know how to store along the way if that is a requirement, and they give you good advice also on that insurance, or certainly put in front of you a package that they can choose from. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, do you see or have you seen any changes in the migration patterns? Is there a migration pattern? Is that the right terminology?
Well, yes, there is, and I've been involved in the industry 20 plus years, and there's been lots of sort of changes in the migration patterns over that time. At the moment, we're seeing very slow numbers leaving the country. So, of course, our traditional...
Interesting, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yep.
I think New Zealand's a very good place to be living in at the moment, and that's certainly affected the number of people moving to Australia, which is traditionally a big market for us, or for all moving companies.
So that's dropped, the number of people leaving New Zealand heading to Australia?
That's right, yeah, quite dramatically. It was possibly 4 or 5 times higher 3 to 4 years ago. That recently. At the moment, it's running pretty even, people moving to Australia and people coming back, but it's slightly in favour of people coming to New Zealand. So that's quite a major thing at the moment. And then internally, we're seeing slow movement around the country, but we're seeing quite a number of people moving out of Auckland, which is an interesting factor. Yes.
Is that because we've cashed up in Auckland and we've now got a pot of gold, and around the rest of the country it's more attractive, I guess?
Yes, I think that's dead right, and we're seeing a lot of moves. Auckland to Northland, Auckland to Bay of Plenty.
Yep.
Waikato, those sort of areas. So out the outskirts of Auckland, but I think it's better buying, obviously, as we all know, and I think you're probably right, cashing up, baby boomers moving to the country.
Heading to the country.
That's right.
Consistent with what I'm hearing from real estate agents, whether they're Hamilton, Northland, in fact I was up there on the weekend, or even the guys back in the Bay of Plenty, that demand is coming out of Auckland.
Yes.
So that's really interesting. So if it's an international move and not a domestic move, what other considerations should the homeowner be thinking about?
Yes, one of the most important considerations, Wayne, is who is going to be handling their goods at the other end. So if they're moving to Australia, moving to the UK or further afield, it's really important to know who is looking after their shipment when it arrives there.
At the other end?
At the other end, yes. And New Zealand Movers, we pride ourselves on our relationships with our overseas partners. They're all accredited members of FEDI and other associations that are very important, like BAR in the UK is very important as well. So you just know the service and reliability is going to be there at the other end.
Okay, fantastic. So we add those considerations on top of the first considerations,
Yes.
even if it's domestic. Gotcha.
Yes.
Look, really appreciate that. I think that's great advice to anybody there. You need to deal with a professional. There is the value, obviously, straight away from what they add. And interesting with your migration patterns, consistent with what we're seeing in the business also. So, Steve, great having you on. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.